except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn, because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn, because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. From my home, cracked and broken asphalt everywhere. I could have ended up just like that broken road, with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I won't forget the lessons that I don't deserve, because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I love today.
Good morning. This is 1100 WSGI, and this is One Street Over. I'm U-Turn Laverne. Hello, hello, hello. That's the Rich Shop Ramblers singing us in, as always, and we'll get to hear from them at the, of course, the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival coming up the third weekend in May. We'll keep, plugging that along until we get there, because honestly and truthfully, we'll be there in a minute. The way time flies, it is just incredible. I cannot believe the man sitting across from me. I've known you now, I don't know, right after you took over the job as director of schools, I think.
Yeah, it's been about 5 years.
Yeah.
Because this is the end of my 6th year, and I think Dick was here the first year.
Okay.
And then you took over. So
isn't that incredible?
About 4 or 5 years.
How time flies.
It's crazy.
And I'm gonna get you to move your mic down just where you're right. I had John Causey in here the other day and yesterday, and he was one of my students, and he was like talking about on the mic. He goes, Miss Laverne was just like right on top of that microphone. And,
you had John in here yesterday?
I did.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
You got to go watch that.
I told you I missed it, but
yeah.
I didn't know it was John's my buddy. I've known John for a long time. Yeah.
We were talking about the book that's coming out about Coach Smith.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you know about that book?
No.
Oh, honey.
I don't think.
Oh, you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be that. It's released today.
Okay.
And Boy Smith, Coach Boy Smith,
right.
And Miss Nancy Arnold and her brother put it together, and Danny helped with it, and John helped with it.
Right. Oh,
and so I had them in yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And it was neat. And John wants to come back. He said he wants to come back with his mom and dad and share his testimony.
Well,
so we're going to work on that.
He's amazing.
He is.
Every time I think I've reached the end of his skill set.
Yeah.
Like I got tickled. It was earlier in the year. Of course, I knew he played golf and just as smart as a whip. And then all of a sudden I go to the choir concert at Greenboro High School, and there's John up there singing. I went, what the heck? The boy can do it all.
Yes,
so,
he can.
Yeah, he's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he really is. Just love him a lot.
I've known his grandmama for a long time, too,
yeah.
Miss Wanda.
Well, and they're so special. And but that was what we did yesterday. But he was teasing me about how close I got to the microphone, and I was like, it's the way we do it. So that's why I'm getting Dr. Causey.
I got to learn from John now.
That's right. Get on that microphone. But so we have got got the school board meeting happened on Monday. But you had things going yesterday, so we moved the schedule and have you come in today. And it really just fell perfectly. We didn't have to really even move anybody. We didn't have, normally Donovan's on the day after you, but the way the Mondays and the Tuesdays fell, it just worked out.
Well,
so,
I'm thinking you can replace me with John Cohey anytime.
It was fun.
That was good stuff. Right
He's
there.
a senior.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's graduating.
Yep.
He's graduating. So we're going to have him and his mom and dad back in.
Hot dog.
Really special family. Really sweet family. So I'm just getting to know
Nancy
him.
Arnold as well.
Yeah.
And her grandkids. Who
Well.
we've got one of them that teach for us now, and the twins. And I said the twins. You know, I've known all these adults since they were in elementary school. So she's got granddaughter twins, and I had them in children's choir a long time ago.
Nice.
So yeah, when you've been around 27 years, you meet a whole lot of folks. So, we were even Valentine's Day last night. Stacy and I were reminiscing about 23 years ago and what our life looked like, and so after 27 years. It's amazing. Even at the board meeting on Monday night, we recognized the East Robertson middle school girls, which I can't. I don't think I can remember the last time we recognized a middle school team unless they won the county. A lot of people, back when I coached, a lot of people understand that we had the county tournament. And then we had the TNT that was hosted by Springfield Middle, and teams would come from across the state and play for pretty much the whole month of February, weekend after weekend, in 3 different locations there, the center and Springfield High. And then you were done. I mean, that was all the basketball you didn't have to go to the TNT. There was a registration fee, and you played schools your size. It wasn't really based on your record or whatever. But these little girls from East Robertson, of course, made it to the state tournament. I know you've had Jamie on here, and he's been touting them, and they were fun to watch. They really were for middle school girls. And I coached that sport. So on Monday night when I told him, I said, I remember back in the day when we didn't have sectionals or regionals or state tournaments or whatever. And not that my little kids at Chrysler would have done that, but at the middle school championship game, sorry, you all, they're adults now. I don't think they care. But but at the middle school championship game over at Coopertown, I got tickled because I had 3 kiddos in the stand that played for me as adults whose kids were playing. So,
That's cool.
I was thinking, we can get the team back together.
There you go.
So
that's fun.
But yeah, that was fun back in the day. I don't know how our coaches do it now because it's so demanding. I did boys and girls for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And we had I coached the girls, and then we coached the boys because they played right after, and that was 2 nights a week for quite a few weeks. And but Commissioner Woodard was at the board meeting on Monday night. Daryl Woodard and his daughter Amanda played for me, so we were making quite a few Coach Causey jokes during the board meeting.
I love it. That's great. And John Cohey just signed on. Good morning. So I don't know if you heard us talking about you, John.
Good morning, John.
We were bragging on you, young man. So, but he's a lot of fun, and we'll have him back in. But so I love that you did recognize our middle school girls, and Jamie will be in. How did they do? I never heard how they.
They lost. They lost. There were 4 teams left in the entire dang state, and they lost their first game. So then they went to the consolation game, and they lost the consolation game by like 4 points. So they can legitimately say they were the 4th best team in the state.
I mean, that's incredible.
Class 1A.
That's incredible.
Or whatever, how they do their classes. So, but watching them play, they've got some, they played some teams that were taller than they were. And basketball height is a thing, as
I know. I got recruited in junior high.
And but they just ran circles around folks. And there was one game they went to double overtime during this tournament.
Goodness.
Coach Mills over at East Robertson High does a wonderful job. There was one game that they were down by 12 with, I think, 3 minutes left to play.
Wow.
And they came back and won by 2. So, the resiliency of these kiddos at the middle school level. You expect some of that by the time they get to high school, but at middle school level, they were pretty tough, and it was fun to recognize them.
Well, and we had the coach in as well last Thursday, and as they were getting ready to go to the tournament. And I've been so blessed to have Jamie come in here and keep us up to date on what's going on with the sports, because that is not my thing. That's when I told him at Greenbrier, I said, if you are hiring me for sports, It's not my thing.
Well, Coach
But-
Mills is also one of the best teachers we got in the county too.
say that
she's
again.
one of the best.
I
she's
hear
one of the
that.
best
She's
teachers.
math.
She's a math teacher,
Woo.
and she's superb.
Yeah.
And so to have that level of teaching
Yeah.
during the day and the coaching in the afternoon and night and weekends is I don't know when she sleeps actually.
She's an all-star. Well,
Yep,
and
I agree.
I when I meet these math teachers, I'm just in awe. Math and English and the sciences, because what I get to teach is fun. And and right now they've got me teaching as well business communications and intro to business and marketing, which I have
Right.
to study for
Right.
because
Wow.
and that's fine. But they're not as challenging as math. I mean, and it's a different thing. It is a different thing. And so anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling.
Well, I visited classrooms at Coopertown Middle earlier this week,
Yeah.
and this is Wednesday, right? So I think it was Monday.
Yes, it's
And
Wednesday. I have to, yeah.
And I was in. His name escapes me. They're gonna yell at me later when I see the principals. It'll come to me in a minute. He and his wife teaches for us, but I was in this math class, and he knows I have to come get my math fix. So when I visit a classroom and they're working on, they were doing complementary and supplementary angles and how to solve for angles based on really two-step equations. So but using
Yikes.
geometry for that. That's just my jam.
Okay.
So and the kids are just amazed. They said, "You know how to do this?" I said, "Well, I'm a former math teacher, so a middle school math teacher." So Jeremy Cecil. I knew I'd think of about him.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Cecil, but
Well, and
also one of our best math teachers we have in the county.
See, and I had forgotten that you taught math, and I'm in awe of that because while I do well with math, I've never studied it at all beyond just the basics. I mean, I didn't have to. I was in a time period in education I didn't have to, and so I'm in awe. It's like magic, like my friend Muriel Barnett. Here she is retiring.
Yep.
And Donovan and I came up with a really good thing. We think you need to use this to market. Retire to teach. Coming out of careers and go retire to teach, because people have asked me, I thought you were retired. I'm like, well, I retired to teach.
Yeah, right.
And so I think that should be a thing.
And we have quite a few of those actually,
Yes.
Especially during COVID and all of that, and teaching. A lot of people, did retire from their profession, and then here are all these teaching jobs open.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, if you're retired from your profession, and honestly, if you have a degree in anything, we can probably fit you in somewhere. So
Yep.
give us a call.
And if you end up teaching in the CTE side of it, there is a expedited program to get your certification. Now, if that doesn't work for you, you can go get your teacher certification,
Right.
and it's a longer program, and it's more expensive, but it's still. It's a perfect plan. That's the plan I was on. That's
Right,
what I was
right,
going to do when I
right.
went to the job fair. My intent was to go back to school and get certified, possibly in English and speech or something that was
Right,
which would be very logical based upon my communications degree. And then I got the phone call from Dr. Osborne going, we have another plan.
Yeah.
And so I keep telling people that are retiring.
Yeah, just talk to us.
Yeah.
And we have we're about to embark. I say we're about to embark. We've already embarked on. We've had the Grow Your Own with our assistant program, where you can get your bachelor's in elementary ed and special ed in 3 years.
Right.
That's now transitioning into an apprenticeship program.
Oh, wow.
So when you think about like your journeyman electricians and things like that, teaching is moving in that direction to where it really is. We can hook you up with an apprenticeship program to where it's not right now the Grow Your Own. You're a teacher. You're a teaching assistant, special ed assistant, whatever the case may be. But here you're actually in the classroom with a teacher. So it's really 3 years worth of student teaching with this person. And you make, of course, you don't make teacher pay that first year. You make your assistant pay. But then if you do all the requirements that Officer P has or involve state, we actually move you to the next year where we pay you even more. So it's like a stair step until that third year, and at the end of your third year you have a teaching license.
Oh,
and
wow.
we're very, very excited about that. And we actually have one of our dual enrollment students right now that's going to graduate with their close to their associates, not their full associates, but is joining the apprenticeship program. And this young lady will be able to teach at the age of 20.
Wow.
With a college degree, and looking forward to being one of our kindergarten teachers
wow.
here in just a couple of years. And I think she graduates in May.
That's amazing.
It's very exciting. Or even next fall, I think she could be teaching by not this fall, but next fall. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I've got a young lady in my class, and she is just amazing. She's on a medical path, and she's going to be graduating with her associates. And that's something that these students, a lot of them just don't really think about. And talking to my freshmen and sophomore, that I said, I'm like, have you looked into this? And having Mackenzie in the class, she's super smart. She's just amazing.
Right.
But she is one of those that is going to have that degree, and it's just beautiful how she's going to cut 2 years off of her med school preparation because she's going to get a jump start. Right. And to be able to do that, oh my goodness, the opportunities that you have. I had one of my Latino students the other day. He'd been a little bit of a knucklehead. Okay, we'll just say it with that.
Right.
And I told him, I said, "Do you understand?" I said, "We love you, and we don't want you to miss this opportunity." Mm-hmm. And he just kind of looked at me, and I don't know if he knew what to do with that. But I said, "I do. I love you, and I don't want you to miss this." Mm-hmm. And he didn't say much, but. That's the thing. I don't want these kids to miss this because it's such a great opportunity. And so I'm just proud to be a part of it. So.
Yeah, once they start thinking with that frontal lobe, things change.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking for all boys out there,
Yeah, absolutely. Talking with Dr. Chris Causey. I'll tell you what, let's just pause and reset. Let me go ahead and do one of my ads. And I do have to, I've got to tell you what the Bible readings are. We are reading through the scriptures, and we're doing this with Bethlehem Baptist. My friend Rachel Culver will be in here. Her and Gwen will be in here on Friday. Gwen's been going to their class they have on Tuesday night, which is the Gospel on the Ground, which is fabulous, from Christy McClellan. Oh my goodness. But today's scripture, we're still in Leviticus, y'all, for a little bit longer. Well, actually, today's our last day in Leviticus. Leviticus 26 through 27 is the reading today, and then Psalms 39. And guys, when you get into, there's nothing wrong with getting this and putting it on your audio Bible and listening to it. If you have never listened to the Psalms one right after another on an audio Bible, wow, it will change you. It is just breathtaking. That's something that I have been doing, and just so many things that has done to my spiritual walk, reading through the Bible with Bethlehem Baptist. But I really encourage you, you can still get on board with us. Reach out to Rachel, and she'll get you plugged in, but you can catch up. You might have to do a lot of reading this weekend, but you can do it. Let's talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. I keep mentioning, I'm not going to bring them up without saying Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival is the third weekend in May, and they will be there. They're one of the sponsors because it happens out in Cross Plains, and they are from Cross Plains, have been there for well over 20 years. They're one of us. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in their surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky, and they want you to come to the table and talk to them. Don't wait till the festival. Of course, they'll be there to talk to you. They'll have their little tent set up, but that's a couple of months away. I know it's going quick, but if you need them today, you've got property out there that has been sitting there and nobody's given it any interest. Well, have you thought maybe you need new pictures? Maybe you need some new videography, some drone footage, a walkthrough tour, something like that. Barry can take care of it because he's a marketer. He came out of a marketing background, went into real estate, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Right, we've got Rebecca. She's been at this for a very long time. One of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist, but they're the whole package. They're a great team. Barry says actually they work in competition with each other, but they do team up when they need to. Great group at the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. They'd love for you to join them too. If you want to be mentored into real estate, call them about that as well. You can check them out at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or by BUY, robertsoncounty.com, or give them a call. Give Becky a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Tell them U-Turn sent you. Dr. Chris Causey in the house. Board meeting happened on Monday. Scheduling issue for him. Brought him in today, and it worked out perfectly. So you talked about the basketball. We've talked about that. So what else did you do last night?
I was thinking those that need to reward themselves with Psalms if they got through Leviticus. If today's the last day for Leviticus, let's have a party.
Well, and we've been reading. We'll read a scripture,
right there.
and then we do a psalm. Right, we do one psalm. But I'm behind. I'm behind.
Yeah, me too.
And so I've got that just kind of running, in audible. Oh, I got to ask you too. So you're in the choir again?
Yes. Willow Oak,
Yeah.
the corral is, I don't have the dates in front of me, but I think it's
Yeah.
in May. I think the concert's coming up. And, of course, they now have the Christian church. They're now
Yes.
there. The classes are there. And it is, I always think of Brett Favre, but that's not right. Favre, sorry, David C., who's out there, as I'm butchering that name, Requiem. Requiem. It's in Latin. So I mean, the whole thing's in Latin.
Nice.
So, I haven't done Latin since high school, and that was very small. So for us to learn, all the a, e, o, u,
Yeah.
and some of the pronunciation, it's challenging, but it's beautiful work.
I bet.
So very excited about that. So
Yeah.
and actually, a shout out to Economic Development Board who met yesterday. Who approved a little bit of marketing money for Willow Oak as they move forward for this and for the arts festival that they have coming up. So shout out to
Very
Musetta
good.
because nobody does it like Musetta.
Yeah, we gotta
she's-
get them.
She's as good as they get. So
We'll get them back in here.
we did have a
so-
planning session Monday,
Okay.
Monday night at 6:00. With two main topics. The first one was your supervisor, Mark Gregory, spoke regarding the Innovation School Models grant. So Governor Lee, of course, announced earlier in the year, and it's guaranteed funds that Robertson County high schools and middle schools would get a total of $5 million over the next 4 years. That's Robertson County alone.
Wow.
And so the CTE programs that we have and the new ones that we're going to have at our schools are about to get a pretty big bump, kind of rethinking about how the current programs are running, and maybe adding some more programs to all of our schools, and and that means middle schools as well. So one of the things that we're going to add, and I won't delve too much into this, but this career exploration classes, not a fair, not a one day you go, but a class that our middle schoolers will take, and they will learn about all the careers out there. Because you've got a kid that, I always use the example, I want to play professional football, I want to do all that. And well, so did I, believe it or not. At this point, I was going to be retired from the Dolphins and have my parents' house down in Florida. Well, that did not turn out that way. But we have a lot of kids who, you're good with numbers. That's where your skill set is. And all of a sudden you can learn, you can be a CPA for the Titans, which comes with a lot of perks, so there are a lot of jobs out there that you don't even know exist at the middle school. There's a great curriculum. There's great technology out there for those kids where they can actually virtually visit these places and learn about these things and set them on a path for their plan of study at the high school level. So they're not wasting their time in classes that they don't really care about or are interested in, or maybe don't have the aptitude to do it. I want to do this, and then I think about that college student who will remain nameless that was going to go and be chemistry and cure cancer and all that, and then ran into calculus-based physics, which I don't think any human should ever have to take, and thought, what, this is just not for me, and now she's going to change the world a different way. So it's okay to have those turns in your life, and if you can make them sooner, then maybe you're not taking some classes you don't need to, even at the high school level. So very excited. Mark presented that, a great conversation for about 25, 30 minutes about some of the things that he's doing for each community. He could have, gone through and said, okay, every school's going to get this, or every school's going to get that, and why it looked, equitable, and I use that term loosely, it really wasn't what the community needed. So we're looking at livestock handling stations at East Robertson and Joe Burns.
Cool.
That's like nuts. I was talking to Dennis Morris, and those who are listening know who Dennis is. Back during football season, I think we were at Joe Burns, and I told him that we were going to be able to do this, so these kids have that experience, and then they know what kind of jobs are out there for livestock now, and there are still jobs out there for
You better
livestock.
believe it.
And our farmers will tell you that. So we're going to put that in 2 of our schools, and it's a 4-year process. So it's $5 million over 4 years. So you have to space that out. So of course, Mark is very detail oriented. If you've ever met Mark Gregory, and he's going to make sure he gets every ounce of worth for every penny that he gets. So so he presented that for about 30 minutes, and then we did talk facilities. The next priority, people know about Coopertown Middle. We know about Greenbrier Middle. The next priority that folks are going to see, we are still talking about building that school on 76 for the White House area, but we do have 3 schools that really need renovation and have for decades. And that is Westside Elementary School, Kreisel Elementary School, and Innovation Academy. People say, well, you just did Springfield Middle. No, we did a theater at Springfield Middle. We have a lot of bathroom issues at IA. And I use those terms interchangeably, but because a lot of people still call it Springfield Middle. But Innovation Academy, if you go into some of their restrooms and some of their areas, they need a lot of work. And we're talking about millions of dollars worth of work. So the next phase, and we bump those up, that's 2023. That's the year that we're in. We're going to start with some architects and some engineers walking through those 3 buildings and saying, okay, what do we need here? And then get at least an estimate of the cost so that we can turn around and go to the county commission and say, and walk them through as well, because a lot of people say, well, why are you spending money on this building? You got to see it. And the thing is, a lot of families or kids are using restrooms that for a lot of us would be considered deplorable. But it's a lot of times it's still better than what they're using at home. So we don't hear a whole lot about that. But so the board had a board retreat last Saturday and walked through West Side and walked through IA. Didn't walk through Kreisel, but I think we're going to go there next because they're pretty much in the same boat as West Side. Maybe not as bad, but they're up there. So we're doing the HVAC at Kreisel. I'm sorry. Yeah, we just finished the HVAC at Kreisel for the most part. We have the HVAC at West Side because that was step 1, and we were able to use ESSER money for that, COVID money for that. So we went ahead and did that because that's pretty much free of charge for us. And then we're ready to renovate the rest of the building at West Side. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
And we may be actually adding on to West Side because West Side right now, even with kindergarten and first grade, they're sitting at over 100% capacity.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. So there's just so much going on.
Which leads us to the zoning conversation.
Go right on. Just keep going. Because,
we have a zoning committee now in Robertson County. We've never had one, believe it or not. And with the growth that we're experiencing, we've got to have one, which means zones are going to change. They don't sit still for 30 years.
Yeah.
At least, I'm sorry, they're not supposed to sit still for 30 years. We had quite a few that have. And even with the DOJ zoning and some of the things that we did with IA and the old Springfield Middle School zone turning into Coopertown or East or Joe Burners, depending on where you live, now that Greenbrier is going to have room, we're going to be able to fix a lot of what we had to do with, especially the Coopertown Middle School kids that are going all the way through Springfield to get to Coopertown, and that's just not what you need to do, especially when Greenbrier's 4 miles down the road.
Awesome.
So yeah, lots of great conversation, and that was the planning session.
Okay.
And then if you want to take a break, then
let's take a break and we'll reset and come back and talk to Dr. Chris Causey about all the things going on at the school board. And I'm going to leave your mic up because I'm going to talk about Cumberland Connect. You know, I've got Cumberland Connect, and I'll tell you, I was going, and you don't have it on everything, but most things I have found that I can. Every now and then there'll be a show. Nope, you got to watch the commercials.
Yeah.
But most often I can do some fast forwarding. So I'm liking YouTube TV now. Yeah. And I just love it. It's just the neatest thing. But and this is a semester too. It's real important because I'm doing all these different classes, I have to spend a lot of time home prepping. I just can't get it all done. And so I have my head in the computer all the time, and there's things I want to be able to do that before I had Cumberland Connect, I couldn't do at home.
Does your router reach your barn?
No, we're going to do an extender.
Okay.
And I've been talking to them about that, and I haven't gotten those wheels going because I've just been away and busy.
Right.
But the customer service couldn't be better. I've just got to call them during the week. Something like that, to make that kind of a change, you do have to call during Monday through Friday. I had called them on Saturday, and they're like, you got to call back on Monday. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll hit you up on President's Day. But it's wonderful. But we are looking at getting an extender to get it out into the outbuildings. But the bottom line is, guys, if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, it's coming, and you're going to want to sign up. I remember when I took my AT&T stuff back to UPS, I said, well, do you know how to return this? And they're like, oh, yeah, a few hundred of them. Because it's just a flood of them, because things are changing. The technology is changing. And that's when I'm teaching business communications and intro to business and marketing, and there's one place within the curriculum it talking about needs and wants. And in this curriculum, it's still saying that cell phone and internet is a want. No, not anymore. It's a need in the business
And these
world.
folks see it as a utility,
Yeah.
like electricity, like water, like
Exactly.
gas, internet.
You bet.
Just keep on saying it, because
Yeah.
it is a utility
Yes.
that should be guaranteed to all people.
Absolutely, and that's what's happening. And there isn't, if you say, well, I can't afford it, there's an affordable connectivity program providing qualifying households with monthly credit to help pay for internet services. And if you're eligible, you may receive a credit of up to $30 per month towards your broadband service. Bottom line is, call them, talk to them. If you're a Cumberland Electric customer, now if you're not, I can't help you. Tiffany Thompson, she comes in, from United Way, and they're in the city,
Right.
so she can't have it.
Right.
And she's just so sad. But yeah, Cumberland Electric,
now
you can.
Ryan's working on it a little
I
bit.
know he is, yeah.
But if I can, they visited us. Cumberland Connect visited our leadership team last Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, it was last Tuesday. It wasn't this Tuesday.
Just the
it's
leadership
funny how
meeting?
things.
Oh, I know.
Our staff leadership, and what you're going to get, the folks that are listening that says, I can't afford it at all. Mm-hmm. So they have a program that you can get. I think, we've got the gig, but you can get 125 meg, I think, for free, zero Zippo, and we're sending that home to our families.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We're sharing it with principals this morning. We've provided digitally to all of our schools so that they can send it out if you're on Class Dojo, if you get newsletters from your school,
Okay.
those kind of things. It is a huge program. It costs you nothing. Or you can have the credit towards, higher speeds out there. But even their free program is actually better than what most people have.
Oh, yeah.
So I encourage you, if you're out there and you have CEMC, that's the thing. All you have to, if you have CEMC, and you've been noticing, and you're just saying, I just can't do the $80 a month, which I know is what we pay, then they actually have programs out there for free. And then that eliminates the need of a hotspot, because we still have quite a few of those out there as a school system. And then if you need a laptop or if you need an electronic device, then the school system can work with you to get you one of those, especially if you're grades 6 through 12. And if you're younger than that, we might be able to help you out there too, if you need it for an assignment, not for playing Xbox. And of course, during COVID, we gave out all those hotspots, and we found out that most of them were used for Xbox and things like that. But that's fine. But it's amazing what they're offering to everybody, not just those that can pay the $80 a month.
I love it. It's an amazing program. And you're talking about the computers and stuff. And I know United Way's got some computers and some things that they're hooking some people up with as well. So I just, so much that's going on with Cumberland Connect. And again, this is not a want anymore. As I tell the students, I said, this is a need. It is a utility, and they recognize that. So if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, you are going to get a chance to get Cumberland Connect. Call them at 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362, or check them out at cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org. And as always, you let them know their ad dollars are working. They're a full-time sponsor here at One Street Over Now. We appreciate it.
I said, when am I getting my mug? That's all I want.
Yeah.
I want a coffee mug that says Cumberland Connect.
There you go.
So
Got to get Dr. Causey. After that sale,
there's my pitch.
after that sale right there, I tell everybody that helps me out with Cumberland Connect, I'm going to have to start paying y'all. I'm going to have to start giving you some part of my talent fees, man.
Oh, it's all good.
So,
It's all
but
good.
we love them. So, okay, where do you want to go
Well, we
next?
talked about the board meeting a little bit
Okay.
as far as recognizing the girls' basketball. I will tell you, one of the things we did also announce is the perfect attendance for teachers, school nutrition, and our bus drivers for the first semester. So these folks from August to December didn't miss a single day of work. They didn't take a sick day or a personal day for any reason. And that was just a report that we provided to the board. But a shout out to East Robertson. They had the highest percentage of teachers with perfect attendance. So, we were asked, who says, well, sick days ought to count because you have sick leave. No, No.
Yeah.
The point is you don't need to substitute that day. So at the end of the day, it's we're going to recognize you at the end of they're recognizing some folks at the school level. Then at the end of the school year, we'll recognize those folks with perfect attendance across the district as well. So very excited about that. We also approved a list of tenured teachers, and a lot of people, tenure was a bad word there for the longest time, because if we hired you for your 4th year, you automatically got it. Of course, the law changed back, I guess, 10, 12, 14 years ago, I forget. But now for a teacher to get tenure, they have to have 2 years in a row of level 4, level 5 level of effectiveness.
Oh, wow.
Which is your evaluation, which is your it's also test scores, all those things, go into that now. But if you receive 2 years in a row after teaching for, I think, 5 years of 4s and 5s, then you are recommended tenure by your principal. Then the board votes on it. So we were able to give that out last night. And that's
what does tenure mean? I mean, that's something as a new. I don't even. I've heard it my whole life, and I don't really understand it. Yeah.
Back in the day, when you have tenure, well, actually, the tenure itself hasn't changed. It's how you get it and how you lose it has.
Okay.
So if you are a non-tenure teacher, at the end of the year, you can be non-renewed for any reason.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they can just say your services are no longer needed.
Right.
And that's usually the case, for one reason or the other. If you have tenure, then you actually have to be dismissed by the Board of Education at that point.
Okay.
They had to vote. That means you have to be charged with something, criminally or whatever.
Sure. There has to be a reason.
You have to be dismissed at that point by the Board of Education. And I hope I'm not misspeaking. I'll be told later if I am. But at that point, so it used to be once you were hired for your 4th year, once you were recommended for rehire, you had tenure. That was it.
Okay.
Didn't matter your scores, didn't matter anything. Legislatively, we changed that, like I said, about a decade ago. And now you have to have, and those people that were already tenured got to keep it. You didn't lose it. But now in order to get tenure, you have to have 2 years of 4s and 5s. Mm-hmm. To lose tenures, you have to have 2 years of 1s and 2s.
Oh, wow.
So you can lose it. You used to not be able to lose it. Now you can lose it.
So I think that's good practice, yeah.
But that's how that has changed. And so we do have folks that very rarely do they lose it, because if they have 2 years of 4s and 5s, they're not going to have 2 years of 1s and 2s, Mm-hmm. So that is, and that just makes you non-tenured. It doesn't mean you can't be renewed. We renew folks all the time that don't have tenure. So because they're doing a good job, they just haven't got their 2 years in a row yet, and that is the way that works now. So that's all it means is if you're not tenured, you can be non-renewed at the end of the school year with really for no reason at all. We just decided to go in a different direction. We said that before, but if you are tenured, then you actually have to be brought up on charges by the board to be dismissed. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I've always heard that, never really understood what it means. Talking with Dr. Chris Causey, he's our director of schools, and they had their board meeting on Monday night, so we're getting the update on that. So what else did you guys get to?
Well, good news for our athletes. We've been using a product called Dragonfly for the last couple years, and I think it's pretty much free. But it gave our athletic directors, both at the middle school and high school level, a way to keep up. It's kind of a database of physical forms, permission forms to play, things that coaches need. They used to have a big old binder, and I think they probably still have a big old binder, but it would give parents an opportunity to upload physical forms and those kind of things into one system. We're now embarking on a new one called Final Forms. It is endorsed by TSSAA. It is what most larger school systems use because it's a lot to keep up with. So our parents, for those parents of athletes out there, you will be able to log in eventually, upload your physical form or see your physical form. It'll tell you what you have. The coaches will say, these are the 6 things I need for you to be ready to go. it'll say you've got 4 of those things or 5 of those things, whatever. And it'll give our athletic directors just a snapshot that says, I've got all my basketball taken care of, or, I still need this parent contact form for this athlete, those kind of things. And it's all digital. It is all secure, and it's relatively inexpensive. And we're excited about embarking on that, because it'll just give our schools a lot more insight into who has what. Because it keeps us safe is what it does. Because you never want to put a child out there who hasn't been physically vetted or doesn't have all the permission forms that you need from all of the parents and whatnot. So
very good.
So
very
excited
good.
about that. So they did approve that last night. I will say that one of the they did have a school board. I'd say it ended up not having any conversation at all. But the school board attendance policy 6.200 about attendance. There was a part that came from model policy, and our model policies come from Tennessee State Board Association, and then their policies are really based on law, on TCA code. So there's a model policy that resembled our policy, almost word for word, except there was a part that was left out called released time course. So TCA code allows a district or allows a school board to have a policy where kids can be released for, I'm going to say this right, to attend a course in religious moral instruction for up to 1 class period per school day. This is during the school day.
Wow.
So between 8 and 3, so there was a lot of people have heard there's an organization called LifeWise Academy out there that wanted to have a program in one of our schools where a van would come by, pick up the kids during the school day, take them to a church, teach them a leadership lesson of some kind based on the Bible, bring them back, and would do that all day long. And in order for that to happen, there had to be a school board policy.
Okay.
The state law allows you to have the board policy. The board brought it up on Monday night, and it died for a lack of a vote. There was not a first or a second. So right now, our attendance policy, what you see on the website, is exactly what our attendance policy is.
Okay.
It did not get changed. So,
Okay.
So,
Very good.
that was. We can get into that or not. That's
Well,
your call.
I'm just trying to fully understand it because I kind of lost track for a
Yeah.
second because you were talking about the attendance policy
Right.
and then this had been
It's in the
proposed.
attendance policy. So,
Okay.
So our attendance policy did not have that paragraph that allowed schools to do that.
Right, and it still doesn't.
And it still doesn't.
Okay.
Correct. But the TCA code says you can do it legally, but the board can adopt a policy to allow that, and our board has not done so.
Do you? Is it going to come back up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think our board, and I'm not going to speak for them, but I think they're totally in favor of religious and moral instruction.
Right.
I mean, so am I. So are you.
Yeah,
I think we
absolutely.
all are. Anybody who's a believer believes that is very, very important. The question is, does it need to be between the hours of 8 and 3 at a public school?
Right.
And there are a lot of things that go into that. We're talking about individuals who you may or may not, and it has to be by parent permission.
Right.
And it has to be done by the organization. It can't be any school buses used, those kind of things. And the thing is, it's very hard to, if once you move our kids off campus, even for 45 minutes a day, it's very hard to keep them safe. I mean, there are a lot of questions that go into that. It is not just as simple as, why don't you agree with this? I'm not saying I don't agree with it. I'm just saying that there's a lot of details. And that's why I'm a huge proponent, and this is Chris Causey talking, and it's not Robertson County Board of Education talking, but I'm a huge fan of our Fellowship of Christian Athletes,
Amen.
which is before school.
Yeah.
I'm also a huge fan of Bible clubs that meet after school, which, by the way, are also legal. So I love it, But when you start tinkering with 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, especially with the amount of intervention of the physical activity laws, everything that we do have to do to find time to do this is, I'd say, next to impossible. So it's a great theory, but there are lots of better ways to do it, and then lots of ways to get more kids involved, I think. Really, I mean, especially if you feed them. Kids will stay for anything where there's food, or they'll come early. I only went to FCA in high school when they had donuts, or when my dad was speaking. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Dad's speaking, I gotta go.
But other than that, so I do think that there are a lot of ways that we can teach our kids moral and religious instruction. But when you start messing with 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, it's very, very difficult.
I'm just sitting here as a teacher trying to think, well, how in the world would you facilitate that and have them gone for this period? And what about the class that they didn't get? And I'm all for it too. But I do see the issues of just trying to facilitate that would be, I can't even imagine.
Right.
And I think about our counselors trying to work all that out with their scheduling. And it's like, well, you need this, you need that, and you want to do that. Well, I want you to be able to do that since you want to do that, but you got to get these credits. And it's like,
and the thing is,
it becomes a lot.
When you adopt a school board policy, it is for all 21 schools out there.
That's
as opposed to, well, we're only going to do it to this school. Well, very rarely do we have a policy that's just for this school. In my tenure, I think we've done it for one time, and that's when Springfield High School went with the 7-period day, and the rest of the high school stayed on the block. And that was a dang nightmare. And in board policy, it says, except for Springfield High School. So it doesn't say that anymore. Luckily, we twilighted that one out a few years ago. But it's very difficult when you talk about board policies, because they actually do affect all of our schools, not just one or two or whatever the case may be. So, with a lot of laws out there, a lot of policies, you want that door cracked open just a little bit.
Right.
And we know 2 years down the road, it's going to crack open a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So not against, I'm not going to speak for the board, but I think most of us are huge fans of religious and moral instruction.
Yes.
It's just between 8 and 3, there are a lot of details that are very scary to us. Yeah.
And one thing too, as a teacher, I'm thinking about this. Okay, you've got this certain bunch of kids that are just going to disappear, and then they're going to come back, and I don't know that's going to be able to achieve your objective. The best thing in the world to do is to support the teachers who are just trying to just love on these kids. And here's the thing. If you're somebody that's retired out of a career and you're a believer, why don't you retire to teach?
Yeah.
And get into the school. I mean, you of course, you don't preach at them and all that, but you know what? You're there when they have questions. And you can help along the way. And you just have to... Yeah, pray about it. Yeah. But anyway, that's quite interesting. I've never heard that was even proposed.
Yeah,
but I do see the problems with it for sure.
It was, and I wish them well. I really do. I think there's some great people that are part of that organization. I think the biggest question was, if you would change your model and meet with our kids before school or after school, this would be a totally different conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not their model. That's not, they're from, I think, up north. That is not how they do things. So it's not, it's one of those where people think, well, y'all are just anti, whatever. And that's just not the case. You've got, I can tell you, we have 6 board members, and all 6 of the board members at Robertson County Schools are believers. I think I can say that out loud and they won't care. But it's just a matter of, when and where and the priorities that we have with public education.
Yeah.
And I think that does. So it does separate public education from private education. And but at the same time, then I will digress.
Yeah, but anyway, we've got other things we're going to talk about. Let's go ahead and do
the mowing contract.
Well, and let's go ahead and talk about Corbin Creek real quick, and then we'll get back to the show and let you finish up, because we're going to be out of time here pretty quickly.
Yes,
there's so much we could talk about. Oh my goodness, so many things, especially now that I'm in the school hallways now, and I'm just like, it's amazing the things that come to you once you're there. It's quite interesting. But anyway, y'all do a great job, by the way, Dr. Causey. I want to say this about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. We're going to talk about mowing here in a second. Well, outdoors, things are starting to grow. Your daffodils are starting to pop up, and things are getting warmer. Now, could we get some more winter? Oh, yes, we could. Yes, we could get a lot of winter. So just, take a breath. Don't get too excited. But if you do want to grow anything that is a cool weather vegetable, now's the time to get it in the ground. Go talk to Amy about that. She'll school you on it. According to Brian Pulley, best garden he ever had last year was one that he did all of his bedding plants. All of his bedding plants came from Corbin Creek Greenhouse. Says it's the best garden he ever had. That's what they're working on right now. They're in their winter hours still. I'll try to talk to her here in the next then the next week or so to kind of see when she thinks she's going to switch those hours over and start extending them again. But they're right now 10 to 4 Monday through Saturday, and Sunday they're open from 1 to 4. So just watch their Facebook page. Great place to follow them and to find out everything that's going on at Corbin. Of course, you can go out and talk to them about any kind of CBD products. If you have any questions about Robertson County CBD, they're your place, and they can help you out and teach you about what it can do for arthritic pain, what it can do for sleep issues. They're at 4920 Highway 161 in Springfield. You can give them a call if you have questions, 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Just fun folks to visit with. Go and see the Corbins today. Tell them U-Turn sent you. Dr. Chris Causey. Let's get to it.
We did. The board approved the renewal of both of our mowing contracts that we have. One of them with Justin Stewart's Lawn Care, and who takes care of 2 of our quadrants, and because we're almost in March, and the first mow can be in March, so
you better believe it.
And Wyatt Plank of Wyatt's Lawn and Landscaping. What I love about both of these contracts, they're with former students who do a great job.
Isn't that fun?
Of course, Wyatt Plank came out of Joe Burns, Justin out of Springfield. Oh, please, if it's Greenbrier, Justin, I'm so sorry. I do forget. But just a big fan of both of those gentlemen. They take pride in what they do. Last year, we moved to Wyatt Plank because the contract was not being fulfilled the way that we thought they should. Got a lot of complaints about the Joe Burns, East Robertson area type of, and Wyatt came in and fixed it just like that because he'd done it the year before. So so we're very excited about renewing that. It's school board member Scott Rice said, I think this is the first time that he could remember that we weren't having to, change mowers and, at the end of the year. So very excited about that. One of the things that folks may want to remember is that we don't have school Monday. It is President's Day, as you mentioned earlier. And we used to send phone calls home every time there was a holiday, every time. And the schools take care of that at the local level now. So that's why you don't hear my voice very often like you used to. And I was actually at Kroger yesterday. I had taken a half a morning, and I was getting some sushi and ran into a parent, and she recognized the voice before she recognized me. So anyway, but yeah, that's, if people wonder why I don't call you that much, that's why. And that's because so many things are really done at the school level now. I don't have to. So if you hear from me, usually it's pretty dang important, meaning that we don't have school when we're supposed to, or there's an important program or some communication that we need to pay attention to. So
very good. And for the record, Justin's from Greenbrier, they're saying. Okay.
Well, sorry, Justin. Well, of course I know Justin and his mama Pam, of course, has worked for us, and they're a beautiful family. Love them to death, and he does a good job. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Of course, his quadrant, he takes care of our Springfield. So sometimes my brain gets a little foggy there.
I can't imagine how you keep up with all you do. Quite frankly, I
will tell you, please pay attention. And we're made it to the director's report now. Please, if you're an elementary parent, especially of a third grader, and when we start talking about, you've gotten all this information about the third grade retention law. And of course, that was passed last year. So at the end of this, we've been communicating with parents since the fall that talked about what happens if your child does not test on track or mastery on the third grade ELA. And the answer is your child could be retained in the third grade. And if we're not having that conversation at home, we need to have it with your principal, have it with your teachers. You should be getting communication about how your child's done on benchmarks, how they're doing on their universal screener for reading, because there are some things that are put in the law that can keep you from being retained. One of it's summer learning camp. And some of the things that we're going to do there in June, 4 weeks in June, actually. So just don't automatically say, well, it's not my child. It's not going to, my child can read. It's not going to be my child. Pay attention to what the school is sending you, especially if they contact you directly and say, let's have a meeting and let's see how we can keep this from happening. Because it is absolutely our priority. It is our focus not to retain any third grader at all. Statistics do not back that up as being good for kids. But at the same time, we still want your child to read and to read well. I didn't say read fast. I did not say, blow you away. We want them to read and to read well and be able to be successful in that reading, because you go from learning to read to reading to learn. And if you cannot make that transition, it's very difficult in the upper grade. So we're going to continue working with you, and that is my request. Just pay attention, especially if your grades, third grade and under. Because we do believe now that the legislator, and I had a great meeting with Senator Roberts on Monday, and of course I know we're both fans there, but I do think that the law will be amended now that they're back in session. I just don't know what the amendments are going to look like. I don't think it's going to go away, and that's Chris Causey talking, nobody else.
Well, we'll have Kerry in on the fourth Monday, so he'll.
But I do want to shout out, because one thing Kerry does, he listens.
Yes.
He listens. His mind's not made up from the get-go. You can have a solid conversation with Senator Roberts and says, okay, this is my concern. And like I told him on Monday, we talked everything from retention law to the iPads on the bus. I'd give our folks a shout out for that one. And I'm talking about GPS, not iPads to play with. This is a huge deal for us.
Yes.
And we also talk charter schools. Because we do have that application, and we're following the law. We're vetting that the way that it's supposed to be vetted, and so that recommendation can be made to the school board in April. And there's a lot of meetings between now and then. Shout out to Miss Melanie Dickerson, who's steering that committee with a lot of people. There are countless hours that go into that application now that we've gotten it. So, but that's a conversation for a different day.
Okay, very good. Anything else in the meeting, or are you done?
You know what? We did talk about Greenbrier Middle School. Somebody says, when do you plan on opening that wing? Right now, that date is in September. We're not going to open it the day it's ready. I do think at the very earliest we'll be able to move kids in there after Christmas in January of 2024. Okay. So because it's a 15 classroom wing and a theater, as we mentioned, and we have a meeting today. We are also looking at property beside your school.
I know.
At Greenbrier High School, in order to possibly build a new gym, and maybe able to turn the upstairs of the old gym, which will become the auxiliary gym at that point, into some classrooms to take care of some of the growth that Greenbrier High School's had. Okay. So especially at the CTE level, some of the CTE classes that we want to expand there, we'll be able to put maybe upstairs. But if you ever go to Greenbrier High School and you got that gym and you go upstairs, once we put classrooms up there, then it has to be ADA compliant. So that means an elevator. So lots of conversations, but it does start with the property that's beside that Brandon Frank now owns, and then working with him and an appraiser and an architect and all that stuff. So great things are coming. No matter where you live in Robertson County, we're either building or we're filling through zoning, or we're renovating at some point. So it's a good time to be in the county.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. I'm so excited to be there. Hey, you need any drone footage of that property? We were flying drones out right beside it.
Yes. Actually.
You really?
Yeah, we would love to have some. I'm not really sure if O'Neill, the company that's doing construction, Greenbrier Middle. I've seen pictures. I don't think I've seen any drone footage. Usually our drone footage comes from James Marshall, our technology supervisor. He does that. He's licensed to do it and does all that. But at the same time, he doesn't necessarily have time to do it. So I would absolutely love to share with the board. And that's what we would do. We share with the board. You can put it on your website. And a shout out to you. I'm going to take my 3 minutes and give you a shout out real quick. Folks, go to Greenbrier High School. Go to their YouTube channel. Look at their Black History Month presentations there. We're using those across the district, and it is the class that Miss U-Turn Laverne is doing. And they're done very well by the kiddos. So I want to give you a shout out to that.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you something. I finished your book a week ago. And yeah, you're going to be quiet for a second, because I've been here for 5 years. I have the opportunity to do it. Look up her book. Buy her book. And I'll say this out loud, because every chapter of that book, which, by the way, I figured out pretty quickly, but every chapter of that book gives you an insight to this lady that you listen to every day. And
Thank you.
She's normal. She's human. She's had the same baggage and strife and hurt and love and everything else that the rest of us have had in our life. It's very meaningful. It's an easy read.
Thank you.
And I tell you what, we've got a lot more connections than you think. Especially the Iberland Hotel night. But anyway, that's
how funny.
But anyway, we'll talk about that one later. But I really I don't read a whole lot of books. I read books for fun. I read a bunch of junk sometimes for education purposes. I don't want to call them junk. There's really good leadership books out there and curriculum books out there. We're reading one right now, and we'll talk about standards-based grading next time too. By the way, but I will tell you, get on Amazon. They can get it on Amazon.
Yeah,
right?
they can get it on Amazon.
Check it out, Jesse. And check it out because you get an insight to this lady right here that I did not have before.
Thank you.
And it's pretty impressive. I enjoyed reading it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
she's
that.
more liberal than she comes across. I'm just going to say that right.
That's funny. Well, it is so funny that I had no idea you were going to do that. You got me a little teared up because that's something that I do ask you to check out, Jesse. And 21st Century might have to order some more copies, but they're the ones who published it. Thank
Good
you.
stuff.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Dr. Causey.
Thank you
so
for the
much.
opportunity
Thank you for being here with us for One Street Over. This is 1100 WSGI. I hope you'll stick around because my friend Lee Marie is coming on with the Go Show. She'll be right after this. This is again 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a fabulous day.